Hey guys, before getting into today's Bible study, I wanted to give you some context first. The contents that I'll be sharing on this channel are the lessons that I learned from Pastor Joshua Jung. He's a spiritual leader in Korea, well known for identifying and correcting many misconceptions about the Bible and preaching true knowledge and the correct way to read and understand the Bible. And so I want to credit today's lesson to Pastor Jung as well. And let's get started with today's lesson, which could be titled Sunstop. I want to give you some historical context first. Approximately 3,400 years ago from today, the people of Israel escaped from their life of slavery in Egypt and was heading back to the home of their ancestors, which was called Canaan. Before entering their destination, they wandered in the desert of Zin for 40 years, which during this time, all of the first generation, including Moses, passed away. And the second generation, led by Joshua, was finally able to enter the land of Canaan. Canaan used to belong to the people of Israel, but they've left the land for 400 years, and so the land was inhabited by other tribes. And so even if it was a land that God had promised them, they had to fight to gain it back. There were a total of 31 tribes that occupied this land. So Joshua and the Israelites fought each tribe one by one. And during one of those fights, an amazing miracle happens to the people of Israel. While fighting with the Amorites, which was a large and powerful tribe in Canaan, Joshua calls out to God, asking God to stop the sun. And the Bible says the sun actually stopped this day. So let's delve into the story by looking at the actual Bible verse. In Joshua chapter 10, verses 12 to 14, on the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you moon over the valley of Ayalon." So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. There has never been a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. So basically, Joshua was fighting in a war, and he needs to win this war, and so calls out to God, asking God to stop the sun for him. And God really stopped the sun for Joshua. Pretty amazing. This is known as one of the major miracles in the Bible, and many theologians interpret this very literally. Some of the commentaries for this Bible verse say, "It is an incredible miracle that the sun stopped. We can see how God answers the prayers of a leader." The sun does not stop moving to shine light to the world, but the sun was generous enough to stop the Israelites who were in need. Miracles happen by surpassing the principles of the universe, so we need to accept this Bible verse as it is written. So basically, it's the mainstream belief that the sun actually stopped this day. But let's think about it for a second. The Bible says that the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down for a full day. Do you really think this is possible? First thing to point out here is that the sun actually doesn't move. It's actually Earth that revolves around the sun. And humans have figured out this fact only like 400 years ago. In the year 1610, Galileo observed the sky with a telescope and discovered that it's actually the Earth revolving around the sun. But back then, everyone believed that the Earth is the center and that the sun moves around the Earth. And so Galileo was put on trial. Nowadays, we all know as a matter of fact that the sun is at the center of the solar system and that day and night comes as the Earth rotates. And the 4 seasons come and go as the Earth revolves around the sun. It looks like the sun is moving from where we're standing, but it's actually Earth that is moving, right? But the Bible said the sun really did stop, so there must be something there. Then maybe it was Earth that stopped? causing the sun to appear to have stopped? The Earth is actually rotating at 1,670 kilometers per hour. And so if the Earth suddenly stops, the law of motion will cause everything to spiral out of order and cause all sorts of natural disasters and destroy everything. And so we know that the Earth didn't stop either. It doesn't make sense. An important thing to note here is that this is something that happened 3,400 years ago, which means that there weren't any established theories about the movements of the celestial bodies. Everyone back during this time believed that the sun moved from east to west as it appears to be from where they're standing, which is why Joshua asked God to stop the sun. He believed that the sun moved up and down, causing day and night. And so when we read the Bible, we need to be mindful of the historical context, be aware of when a certain event occurred, because the mindset of that time could be completely different from today. So what would be the correct way to interpret the story? Joshua, who was in the middle of war, had to win this war fast before the sun goes down and everything goes completely dark, because if it becomes dark, that would give the enemies an advantage because they were the ones living here for a long time, unlike Joshua. So what Joshua really needed in this moment was to win fast. Let's look at another verse, chapter 10, verse 11. As they fled before Israel on the road down to Beth-horon from Escah, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them, and more of them died from the hail than were killed by the swords of the Israelites. What really happened was that God answered Joshua's prayer by wiping out the enemies through large hailstones falling from the sky, which made it possible for Joshua to win this battle so quickly that it seemed as if time had stopped. God was with Israel and Joshua and helped them, not in some miraculous way like stopping the sun or stopping the earth, but in a very natural way by using hailstones. This battle was supposed to last for days, but it ended so quickly because of the hailstones falling on top of the enemies. And so for Joshua, after winning the battle, it really seemed as if the sun had stopped, and it was recorded in the Bible that way. So the story in this verse wasn't actually a miraculous event of the sun suddenly stopping. It was a miracle of time, of being able to do something that seemed impossible at first because God was together with Joshua. So I'd like to wrap up with 2 points for you to remember. First, always take into account the historical context when reading the Bible. When we keep in mind when something was actually written, it gives us a more clear understanding. And second, always pray to God. God answered to the prayers of Joshua. By calling out to God and depending on God, Joshua was able to win this battle in such a miraculous way that it seemed as if the sun had actually stopped. So for us too, we should remember that it is God who gives victory, and so always pray to Him. Whenever you're in a situation where you really need to get something done, but you don't have enough time, try calling out to God and asking for help. I'm positive that He will answer to your prayers.